Alrighty, folks. What is happening? Adam here with the boys. We got a little shred session for y'all right down here on the screen. So what do you think, boys? This was a good little ride down this mountain.
Yeah, when was this actually? This was last Friday?
This was a few weeks ago. I don't know.
I think it was before all the rains, I think.
You know, the days just seem to blend together. But
that is very true.
This was a good day. I do remember that.
This was a really good day. This was cool because this is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, especially since we all bike on this a bunch, and I've just always thought how cool would it be to ride from the top of the mountain to our office.
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't really, who hasn't ridden these Santa Cruz trails, it's take the Sprinter van up. I don't know, Kate, how long do you say that is? 15-20 minutes up Empire Grade?
Yeah, what's the elevation's probably 1,500 feet. You're kind of going straight from the ocean up into the foothills. And
then you just literally rip down this trail all the way to Wilder, and then Wilder to the office. And how many miles was it? Actually, I don't really remember.
It was at least 7. It was up there, right?
Yeah.
Around 7 or 8 miles. And we were taking it a little easy because I couldn't remember how the fire road was, if it was too chunked up or not. But we got cooking on some of these sections, and it was fun. It felt like snowboarding down it. It was such a big hill that it really felt like snowboarding.
And for some context, this fire road is one of the climb trails from the ocean up into some of the most pristine Santa Cruz mountain biking trails there are. So you'll see us passing a bunch of bikers heading up the mountain. But it seems like everything's really cleared out right now. Laser, you've been riding this trail a lot on your bike. Anything you want to talk about, the clear cutting and the fires?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because obviously we had the fires, and they use this portion, I believe, of the trail as the main fire break to protect the incoming fires to the main part of the city. We're super close to UCSC, and then that eventually leads to main Santa Cruz. So you can see all the brush on the side, all the cut trees. Actually, I think right before this, they did a little prescribed burn on some of all the weeds and stuff that we'll see.
I do
further
remember
in the video.
A little burn action going on.
Yeah, so super interesting to see. Ted, look at that, getting some burn, little turn action, boy.
Yeah, we passed the Zook in this portion of the trail.
Oh, nice. I love the way the sun is
past the Zook.
Past the Zook. It's
past the Zook.
It's fun to bring out this camera again. We used it a long time ago. I don't remember. Oh, it's for Race to the Rail. That was the last time I remember this camera was used. And I kind of forgot, it's kind of fun to hold that thing out and record your friends, especially when you're just ripping down a pretty mellow fire trail, or what do you call it? Fire road?
Yeah, fire road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There's
definitely
nothing better
fun.
than capturing, because you could doesn't matter if you're shooting one person, the other person, you could, when Laser went to keyframe everything, you could do it in all in post, you know? So you don't have to worry about filming only Kate or only filming Laser, or just myself, you know.
I just got
the hardest thing was right there as a Kate on Trust Your Line is you don't really notice it, but you kind of kick up a lot of dust when you're riding, and when you're following someone right behind them, it's either you just trust that their line is a good line, it's not gonna be too chunky, or you kind of ride your own tracks. I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's why I was saying Kate on Trust Your Line, because I was kind of getting blasted by dust and just following the same little tiny trail you were on.
You know why I like the 360 cam so much? When you're shooting with the regular GoPro, I don't know, it tends like your footage tends to look slower or like less technical than it actually is.
Yeah.
Like that wide angle, it almost distorts everything into like just level. But the 360 gives it this like whole dimension of depth, and like the way the ground is moving past you, it feels like you're actually just flying. And I feel like we were going pretty fast in this section right here, especially.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, all downhill, right? So we were cooking, but that's the fun part about working with the 360 cam. I think was having that flexibility. Obviously, during this video, mostly I'm like holding it. We pass off every couple times, but it gives me the flexibility to be like, okay, I could get Ted and Kate. Like I think right here, I compose you guys at some point, and I like zoom in with it. And it's cool to like play around with different, there you go. Like, okay, now I'm out of the picture. But if I zoomed back, I could put myself back in it. So a lot of flexibility.
Since we're talking about this camera so much, Laser, on all of the comments of you riding through the salt flats, a lot of people are curious about what camera it is and what setup, like the pole and stuff. If you could.
Well, it's the GoPro 360 Max, which is what you're seeing this on right now. And the GoPro pole, so I was using a GoPro selfie stick, and it was one we have where like, you know, it's a telescoping and you twist it to put into each other. And then it looks like a little like pod handle, super small, like that big. And then it also has a tripod on the bottom. But what's cool is that if you keep the 360 camera at the right angle, that's what the software does, is like, it just cuts your arm or the 360, the GoPro pole right out. And you're like, oh, it's floating there.
Yeah. This is actually also a good shot of Kate. We kind of all have the same riding stance. But Kate, we should all talk about... Who started
that one?
What up?
Who started that riding stance?
I don't know.
What stance we're talking about? Are we talking about the back foot, like kind of hugging the fender? Because I'm kind of interested. It looks like Ted rides almost a little bit farther back than Laser and I do. And you can see right there, like Laser kind of has that angle to his foot. A little bit more
well, the biggest thing for me is on this ride, I aired down right before the beginning of it. And I aired down a little bit too much, which is why I had to move that back foot back a little bit more than what I normally ride, just to counteract like the extra little wobble you get from a super, super soft tire. But yeah, I feel like all of us pretty much have the similar riding stance where that back foot's super tucked against the fender, and the front foot is just, you know, average, like, I don't know what angle you'd call that, like 30, 45 degree angle.
Laser, that was a nice little section right there.
Dude, that was fun.
But go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, this was like right here where it opens up. Just so beautiful.
But anyways, what I was gonna say is...
Well, I think we could segue that a little bit into like the future of foot pad technology. What would you guys like to see? I know that since I have my foot so far up against that fender, like I almost want a little bit of a bump, like a traction pad for a surfboard, where I can really lock in that arch.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the longest time, the Sure Stance Pro Fusion was my favorite pad. And then we were on some trip somewhere where I started riding Laser's board, I think, and he had like the Max on it. And that's when I realized that the Max is almost better if you like your foot all the way pressed against the fender, because you have more entry-level concave than you do with the Fusion.
Right.
So I still have the Fusion on my board, but I don't know, I kind of like switching off, and I kind of like the feeling of the Max. But that's just for me and you guys who have the foot as close as you can to the wheel. And there's a polar opposite rider out there who likes to have their feet spread apart, and the Max gives them even more like kind of locked in feeling because it's the most extreme concave. But you're right, exactly what we were talking about earlier. before this meeting and times before this is changing up the foot pad to our own personal flair. Neither one of us know how to 3D print, but I feel like if we did,
Lacer's a pretty accomplished woodworker, though. See if he could fashion something up.
Yeah.
I might
get a planer out there.
Yeah, I might have to do some concepts, right? I mean, it's totally true. Like, that's how you could dial in the best, really the best, like, thing for you is to kind of just customize it. It's like anything else, you know, whether it's a bike or a surfboard, you kind of, if you really want the best ride, you have to, like, fit it to your body.
Totally. You know, we passed,
Hey, Z, I'm doing a
5 or
Zoom
6
call. Can you be
groups
quiet,
of
please?
mountain bikers here.
I'm doing a
I feel like
podcast, so
this
it's like
is a
everything's getting
good
picked up.
opportunity while we're doing this little voiceover to talk about trail etiquette
Yes.
and the future of one-wheeling and being respected on the trails, which is a huge concept and something that really needs to be addressed as the sport continues to grow and more people are riding multi-use trails. So I guess first things, like right here, the horses, right? Like every person on a multi-use trail, we had like a little casual banter there and they were like off of the trail. But yeah, anyways, like horses are the main thing that everyone yields to, whether you're hiking, you're on a bike or whatever. I don't want to take the entire thunder on this because I know we all have different points we like to talk about. Even like mountain bikers coming down on you, or if you're approaching a mountain biker who's climbing, there's a lot of different things to consider and a lot of different things that you should be thinking about when you're on a large group ride with a lot of riders, because you're taking up more of the trail space than a single mountain biker or a single hiker or anything. And a lot of the group rides we've seen recently through the trails, there's some people who do practice great trail etiquette, and there's others who it's like, yikes, dude, like you gotta represent the Onewheel a bit better than what you're doing. But this is a good moment to speak on that.
Right, and I think just adding on to that, it's Onewheels are in kind of an uncertain place on like whether they're allowed on these multi-use trails, and like it's all up in the air right now. And the way that we all behave when we're using these trails is going to really dictate the future on like whether it's even going to be allowed. So like you should keep that in the back of your mind and just honestly, I don't know, just use your best judgment and treat other people like with respect. Like these guys right here on the bikes, like they yielded to us because they saw we're coming. So, Laser, anything you want to add? You're kind of a steward of the trails around here.
I try to be. I think, you know, obviously trails like this that are super multi-use, you got horses, bikes, and now you have Onewheels on them. It's just like what you guys are saying. You got to respect everybody that's using the trails. For me, it's, you know, the little...
This is the most epic part of the ride.
The
arguably.
WSL.
All right,
This is the waypoint here.
on the trail talk.
Yeah, brief hold. Let's get to this part. Okay, so we filmed another video called like Lost in the Wilder, where we were on the same trail. We got so lost, and this was before we mountain biked in here and everything. Yeah.
Whoa.
They think we're lost, but,
I
yeah.
forgot about that, dude.
Like, no, we know where we're at, boy. You Cade, right here. All right, boys. But yeah, so this is a hilarious spot. Cade and Ted were doing this. It's like when you're a little kid and you're pretending you're in a competition, and they're pretending they're in the WSL doing some wicked slashes. And
I think I had the two-wave combo on Ted that round.
Yeah, he definitely comboed me.
I'd almost call interference on this one right here.
So let's bring it back to that trail bit. Just to end it off, I think at the end of the day, Onewheels are new in the world still. You know, they've only been around for a handful of years in reality compared to bikes and horses and like all these other things, right? So I think it's kind of like that's where its place is right now. It's like if you can respect everybody on these trails, just know that like you're at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to like who has priority on these trails. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it.
Definitely.
But you should, regardless of what you're on, what vehicle you're on, if you're on a bike, if you're on a horse, if you're on a one wheel, you should just be respecting everybody's space. It's public land. It's a state park, you know.
And just like when we're on these trails too, and a lot of these mountain bikers, like, holy crap, like I didn't know those things could do that, you know?
They're really psyched up when they see us.
Yeah, you gain respect in that aspect if you are being respectful on the trails. What's not going to give you respect is if there's someone on a mountain bike climbing and you're just blowing past them and just like throwing them off their line. Because I don't know how many people out there, Laser took us on, when we first got in mountain biking, Laser took us on this march that absolutely ruined my ideas of riding a mountain bike.
For some context,
we went like,
Laser is a insane road biker. It does 100-mile rides in a day. Just a different level of cardio and fitness than me and Ted are.
Through Kate and I on a bike after a good night of drinking.
I did feel bad. I'd be like, this hill's not that bad. I think it's pretty short.
And before you know it, we're going 18 miles up the damn mountains, and an absurd amount of, I felt like I climbed Everest on a bike. But anyways,
hey,
when you're
in
in that moment, you know, like climbing, there's nothing going on in your head other than just like trying just to move your legs to keep going up. So then all of a sudden you got a one-wheeler just blow up right past you with 18 of their homies with 8 different Bluetooth speakers on. Like, that's where you're not going to get respect.
No bueno.
Okay, Laser, another scenario that's similar is like you're on the climb trail and someone on an e-bike just like whistling blows right by you. There's a certain little tinge of resentment, jealousy, I don't know what it is. I feel that.
I think it's almost like, I don't know, like, it's cool. You're getting out there. If you're on an e-bike, you're having a good time. I respect it. But also there is that part of like, I'm working my butt off to get up this hill manually. And you're just like going up it and just pressing the button and kind of getting that pedal assist. And yeah, you feel like, you're like, what the heck, man? So
yeah. Long story short, if you're climbing with a biker, just yield to the biker as best as you can. That was kind of where I think we were going with that.
Yeah, unless the other person gives you direction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm always like, try to make the other person feel safe. It's not about me. It's about that person. And if they're thinking that about me, it's a beautiful world. Another horses. 2 more horses. That's 4 horses we passed on this ride.
Yeah, it's also the like little pitch, like the high frequency pitch that the Onewheel gives off, could sometimes like really disturb a horse or like even a like little dog. You know, happens all the time. So it's kind of best like to slow it down, just like what we did here, and like casually pass and make sure like the horse owner, the horse rider horse, yeah.
Equestrian.
The equestrian recognizes you and recognizes your speed, what you're doing, and you like have this like, just like what we had there, this casual engagement. The worst thing you could do is spook a horse, throw the equestrian off the horse.
Oh gosh, that's terrible. That'd be
All right. That's worst case scenario.
We have just completed the fire road portion, and now we're moving on to single track, which is personally my favorite part of this whole ride.
Cade, you crushed this. I was donezo. Got into this part, I was like, I'm tired, boy.
You know, it's that off-season snowboard training. It's like you're, you know, when you're like trimming along a hillside on a snowboard trying to get to a lift or something.
Yes.
On your calves the whole way. That's kind of what it feels like when you're doing these super long one-wheel rides.
It's that like super long catwalk that just lasts forever, and you're just burning.
Yeah, and this is a very smooth single track if you have a full suspension mountain bike. But on a one wheel, like, there are some little tiny holes and, you know, roots and all this stuff on this trail, and it is, if you're not paying attention, you're asking for it. I mean, look at this. 0.
No, this is where it starts to get kind of fun. This is where like those little S turns and stuff start.
Yeah, this is a nice little.
Yeah, right
always
here.
doing like the little 360 spin.
It's really rad. It really changes the perspective. I remember the first few times I saw this footage was from Onewheel Jungle. And he was ripping the trails, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, it makes you look like you're going like 60 miles an hour, you know? But after we started playing with it, I was like, damn, this is really sick. Like, that's kind of why I understand on all the comments on that desert clip that we ran as an ad, the salt flats, you know? Everyone was tripping out on like, how'd you film this? Just like I was when I first saw the footage of Jamie on there. But
yeah, I think that's like all part of the draw to these types of cameras is that you have so much like room to get different perspectives.
that was a sick section, by the way. Kate took the inside on you.
Going through these, I don't know what type of trees those
I remember
are.
that.
I
At this
just
point in the ride, like everyone was kind of feeling it.
yeah. Because you're absorbing all those bumps like from the top of the mountain. It felt like ages ago.
It is pretty wild. Like, it's not super far on a one wheel. I think it's far for like a dirt ride. But the change in scenery and even just the trail.
Yeah.
It's cool to experience all that and how you can get that through, one charge. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we started on Empire Grade, which is like this gnarly one-way highway. Rode down that for a quarter mile and then entered the trailhead to the fire road to this, like so much. And then we go to the beach at the end of the time, or end of the ride, whatever, beach walk. So, hey, what are you sipping on? I don't know if you could hear Coda. She hears something outside. She's kind of like growling a little bit.
Yeah, she's... Whoa.
Whoa.
Good guard dog.
Yeah.
Nah, she was just asleep 5 seconds ago after the park.
One thing I would like to do on these rides is kind of pass it off more often. I think that's fun.
Pass the Zook, baby.
Pass it off, baby.
Zook. Well, Liz, you do a pretty good job of like moving the camera around a lot. It doesn't feel very static because you're always like putting it in front of you, behind you, switching the angles.
Hey, thanks, guys.
You kind of like the GoPro 360, just warlord. You know, you stacked the most clips on this thing.
That's true.
I think it's all about the experimentation. The 360 device is what I was trying to say earlier was I kind of like shook off 360 cameras for a long time. Like the old GoPro 360, it was just didn't feel intuitive with like post-production and all that stuff. And this, now you could put it in your phone and just like navigate your footage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just really cool.
There's one
and then
thing.
You get the salt flat clip. I was just saying, you get the salt flat clips because it's so unique.
I was gonna say there is a rule that we should stand by, and it's this is a great example of yielding to the biker on uphill. One GoPro 360 per crew, just like that episode of Workaholics when everyone wanted to wear the fedoras because fedoras were cool. The one fedora per crew, you know?
Yeah.
So you're saying if you're on a trail ride, you shouldn't have multiple 360 cams out?
I mean, one is enough. One is for sure enough. But when you just imagine being the outside person looking in, you know, and you got all these homies with all the different cameras going on. It's like they shooting a movie out here.
They're getting all the perspectives.
Well, what happens when your buddy Jim is just stingy with the footage and you're trying to get those sweet clips?
Well, that's when you start up a Dropbox account and you guys start to transfer the files together. And you just stack one mega crew edit, you know? Like when you go out, when you're little kids skating with your friends, like you had one DV camera, you know? Even if you had that, I don't know. We were on the GoPros, I think, when I was...
Dude, I had high 8 tapes.
Oh yeah,
super 8 tapes.
But when you're filming, you didn't have 8 cameras, right?
No, we had, usually it was like I'd steal my dad's.
Yeah.
And that's all we had.
Dedicated filmer, just like Laserless in this. You can pass the camera around. Everyone can get their clips.
It's fun. It's fun too, because it's like, you know, if you don't use it that much, like Ted, you were like having fun with it for a sec.
Yeah. I mean, everyone. That's the coolest part about it is like, remember that movie? Is it The Longest Yard? Where at the very end they all do the backwards lateral passes. The Adam Sandler movie, where he's in prison.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? And then like one dude starts running with it, and then he's about to get tackled, so he like throws it back.
I think that's pretty common in like late game football. Like if it's last play of the fourth quarter.
Well, either.
Dude, this section right here.
But what I was trying to get at is that's what you should do with GoPro if you're with all your homies. Is
Ted,
you got a bit of a tumble there. Good thing.
Good on you for waiting to bail until the
Keep
bike
it
would
out.
pass too.
Yeah.
You held on to it for just long enough.
The worst thing I've ever encountered was probably 3 or 4 years ago. We were on a ride somewhere with a pretty large group, and some dude bailed his wheel, and a biker was like straight up. Another Adam Sandler reference is when they throw the stick, you know, when all the dudes are rollerblading down.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. A dude bailed his Onewheel into the oncoming bike lane, and some dude just tanked his bike, and I was like, oh no, this is not good.
Dude, here we go.
So,
Got
if
some
you
chunky
can-
shit with Cade.
Save the bail.
Save the bail.
Coda's taking advantage of me being on a Zoom call to get herself a nice position on the sofa.
Dude, I feel like at this point in the ride, I handed off the baton.
Yeah.
Cade like had this pent up shred in him, and I was like, I'm done. Take it. And then you'll see at some point, like you just left us in the dust.
Yeah, I
Old
felt
man
like
lasers, calves.
this is like our Tour de France one-wheel team, and I was one of the workers, just kind of hanging in the back till it's my time to shine.
Yeah, you are our guy going for the GC contender. Me and Ted did our work. We're sitting back. Look, we're gone. This is sick.
I always forget about this part of the trail.
It's
until
also
we're, like, doing it.
This part of the trail is special because there's that biker's being nice to wait for me, but it's nice because when you're going downhill, like you're kind of declining a lot. It's harder to like carve and get into the flow. But when there's a slight elevation, you can really like lay into the turns a little bit harder. And this is kind of just traversing the side of the mountain right here, but if your legs are still feeling good, this is some of the best riding on that whole trail, I think.
I'll never forget, there's a certain turn on one of these that it might have been that one right there, that the first time I ever rode it, I missed the turn and I fully blew through the brush and then back onto the trail. And
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I remember that. Yeah, that's a tricky spot.
That was one of those times I was like, dude, I'm going to go down, I'm going to eat it hard, because you're hauling at this point in the trail. Like, I don't know,
And then you have this turn. I think
15,
there's a turn coming
16,
up.
17 miles an hour, I'd say. At least.
It's funny watching it back. I don't even realize I'm putting my hand up like that so often.
Yeah,
To keep my balance.
You do like the, I don't know, you're goofy though, right?
Right.
So you do the right hand up. I do
yeah.
like the right hand back, like I'm like holding a lunch tray.
It's just like those micro adjustments that are kind of keeping you over the board.
But yeah. I always realized too that like after watching when we used to film like snowboard footage and stuff, like I always mimic the same thing. Like I just always have this like back arm like this. And I really hate that about my riding style, but that's just something that I do.
It is the coolest thing.
Laser's definitely a
Dude,
hands
I'm
up
a roller coaster boy.
I think we're all
Roller coaster
striving to
boy.
be hands down, cool, calm, collected. Just
Yeah. But there are times where it really does help. I don't know why.
it's like I'm always asking a question, like, hey. You know, whatever works for you. I think whatever gets you down the trail in a fun and safe way, I think that's the best riding
Exactly.
style.
You know what? We started talking about the tire pressure when I said I had my foot scoop. scooted back a little more. But we all kind of have personal flair when it comes to that on these trails, which is something that gets asked a lot. So, Cade, what kind of tire pressure do you like to rock on these trails?
You know,
Also, riding modes. Like we didn't talk about that. We should talk about that. What?
Oh, we don't have much time left.
No.
boys.
okay, quick.
We might have to do another one.
We were all riding on Mission though, I think.
Yes, mission.
I was
Mission.
on. I think that was on custom, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Look at you.
Yeah.
You want to drop your custom shaping settings?
Got to be honest. I think nose down like 0.1, negative 0.1. Carvability is like slightly up. I don't know what at. And then, dude, I don't really know. I just messed with them. I was like, this feels good.
I'm just like a try and true mission rider, but I know that basically the like stock parameters for your custom shaping are mission, right? And then you can fine tune it from there. So like if you guys haven't messed around with it yet, I definitely recommend doing some custom shaping. But tire pressure,
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
What were you rocking? What would you say?
Oh, dude, I would think mine was really squishy. Like my whole thing, like I could just like really play with it. So I would say I was probably around like 12 to 14 psi. I think.
Yeah.
Like it was loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried your board earlier in the day, and I was like, this is sagging.
Yeah.
I feel like I was generally around like 16 or so.
Yep. Oh, I love this tunnel shot.
This is where Cade gets that triple stacker,
Yeah, that was the triple stacker, and that's it, boys.
and that's gonna end it. End it on a good
Yeah.
note.
Sweet.
Well,
Phew.